Welcome back, everybody, and happy Wednesday. Today, we're going to continue our work on developing those characters for our story today and tomorrow. We have kind of another group lesson, how we had Monday and Tuesday together about just kind of getting the basic information down for your characters or the basic traits. We're going to kind of take that a step further and picture our characters within our story and talk a little bit about that today. So the question I have to ask for you is, how do you think authors really come up with their characters, right? And like, do you think that an author sits down and they just boom, that's the characters on the page, they've done it right away, it comes perfectly to them? Or do you think they really take a lot of time to develop that process? It's probably the second one, right? So it's probably that the author does what we did yesterday. They wrote the basic information down for their characters. Like, this is the very most basic version of what I want to think about when it comes to my character and how I want them to act and look, right? And then they take that character and they picture them within a story. Okay, so now that I've got how I think the basis for how my character is going to act, how do I put that in an actual story and make it seem like it flows within the story? What kind of problems are my character going to run into, right? If I've said my person's clumsy, like my character, for example, how am I going to put that character in a situation where being clumsy becomes a problem or makes it interesting for my readers? And we're going to work on that today. So yesterday we discussed coming up with the basic ideas, and we're really going to use those ideas to develop our character further and start picturing them within the story. That's our goal today, is to be able to picture our character within a story and write just a small portion, like one scene from a story using our character. So I want you to take a second and stop and think right now. What kind of problems would my character run into? What's a scene that I could picture happening with my character? I could think, okay, I could really see this happening to my character. It would make a lot of sense. It is something that would probably come up in their everyday life. So take a second and think about it. Okay, I'm going to do the same. And then you're going to take that information and you're going to write a scene for your story about that. So I'm picturing my character who's clumsy, doesn't really have a lot of friends, in a scenario where he's being depended upon to play a game of basketball at recess. And so he's already got trouble making friends. He's clumsy. How's that going to go at recess when he's picked to play basketball with a group of friends? And so here's the scene I came up with and the scene that I wrote. I'm going to read you the whole scene here for just a second and talk about how it relates to my character that I had written down the last couple of days. So remember, my character's name is Will. So I said, Will knew the whistle was going to blow any second for the end of recess. Today was going to be the day. Will was going to sink the game-winning shot, and his days of being picked last were over. The game was all tied up, and his team had the ball. His teammate was trapped in the corner. The pass came out to Will, and he had the ball right at the top of the key. Will shot faked and dribbled right around his defender. Just as he was about to go up for the shot, he felt the ball slipping out of his hands. He watched as it flew through the air, and it all felt like it was moving in slow motion. He saw the ball fly right into the hands of the other team. Brian caught it and laid the ball into the hoop just as the whistle blew. Will's team had lost, and it was all his fault. Nice going, William, Terrence said sarcastically. This is what I get for trying to be nice. They were just words, but Will felt them sting like the sting of a bumblebee. Things never seemed to go Will's way. Right, so that's just the scene I could picture happening with my character. So I took that chart we made, and I'm going to go back to that chart just as a point of reference for you guys that we made last week. Oh, you know what? I recorded it on the lesson. It's not on my flip chart. That's my bad. So if you want to look at my chart and see how it relates to my paragraphs, you can go back to Monday or Tuesday's lesson where the chart's posted and you could look at it. But I said my character didn't have a lot of friends. He was always the last to get picked. He had trouble making new friends, right? He was clumsy. So you see those things all happening in this little section, the scene I wrote. He loses the ball. His clumsiness comes into play. The other team gets it and ends up winning it. He feels like it's his fault, so he kind of gets down on himself. Meanwhile, the kids who picked him to play, he finally had a chance to kind of become friends with them. If he had made that shot, maybe things would have gone differently. But it's just not, Will's just not good at those kinds of things. And so this is a scene I could picture in my story. So I want you guys to try to do the same thing today, right? Think about what's that original story idea I had, right? Mine was about a clumsy fourth grader. What are the traits I came up with my character? So I built Will around that idea. Then what's a scene I could write about my character? So really start with thinking about what's your story idea? What's a scene that would probably happen in that story? What's my character like? How could he fit within that scene? And then go ahead and write that scene with your character. You have today and tomorrow to do this. We know this might take you a while. We don't want you to spend an hour writing your scene today. Write for 20 minutes, right? If you're not done for after 20 minutes, take it and go back and work on finishing it tomorrow. You're going to actually turn it in on Thursday. There's no assignment to submit today. All we want you guys to do is watch the lesson and be ready to submit it tomorrow for us to look at, right? I had a great time reading a lot of your character ideas and the characteristics you had for the people you were going to talk about in your story. I can't wait to read scenes that you guys wrote about your character. So one last time, your job today and tomorrow, create and write the scene with your character. There's a typo right there. I have to fix it. That stuff bothers me. Sorry. So create and write a scene with your character, and then think about what you wrote about your character yesterday to help jumpstart your scene. Think about what kind of scene would that character live in. Okay, that's going to end up being due tomorrow. Again, it's not due today. There's nothing to submit today. Tomorrow on Thursday, you're going to submit that scene. You can type it, or you can writer's notebook, and then read out loud what you wrote in your notebook. All right. We look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Good luck.